November 23rd, full moon in Taurus releasing practice. I'm Phaedra. Welcome to the broadcast. I feel like I haven't been live with y'all in like ages. We've done a lot of pre-recorded broadcasts in the last couple of months, since early October, really. And it feels like it's been far too long that we've been live actually together. But I'm Phaedra. I'm the artist and astrologer of Mystick, Physick Astrology for folks who are new to the broadcast. I use Western Sidereal Astrology in my practice to help you reconnect with your soul purpose and remember why you came into this life to begin with. And really with the broadcast, my aim is always to provide guidance on how we can consciously use the energy of the transiting planets to affect our lives in a positive way. Basically, so that we can work with and respond to our transits rather than just react to them and just kind of, deal with the aftermath. We can be proactive, basically. If you need to look up your sidereal sign placements, you can do that. There's an online calculator at mystickphysick.com/sidereal tools, and I have a link. I'm going to go ahead and, if I can do it without bumping the camera, I'm going to put it in the comments. Let me see here. Maybe I can. Control V. There we go. So you can just plug in your birth data, and it'll calculate a natal chart using the Fagan-Bradley zodiac, which is what we're going to be working with on this evening's broadcast. And so tonight, what we're looking at is the full moon in Taurus, in Sidereal Taurus. And so what we're going to explore is ways that boredom may be keeping you kind of stagnant and stuck, or ways that stubbornness might be holding you back from what you really want, and what you can do to kind of let go of things that are holding you back and open your life to comfort, to stability, to enjoyment, because all those things are very important, and they're important to embody and step into in a healthy way whenever possible. And so we're going to explore that. But let's talk about, here at the beginning, let's talk a little bit about the current full moon in Taurus and what we need to know about this particular full moon. And then what we'll do is I will run through for each of the sidereal rising signs what house this particular full moon is falling into for you and what the themes of that house are. And that way, if you're not super familiar with your house and themes for tonight's full moon, you can jot them down, just make a note, and then we'll go through some prompts as we go into our releasing practice at the end. We'll explore the themes and archetypes of Taurus a little more in depth, and then we'll go through some prompts to get us thinking about what it might be that we can release, move through, or let go of tonight with the full moon that might be holding us back, and in that way help make room in our lives to move forward. And so let's talk a little bit about the current full moon in Taurus. So Venus has been retrograde for several weeks. She went direct earlier this month. So she's now back to direct motion, which is really nice because she was still retrograde when we had our new moon. But she's back to direct motion in time for the full moon, which is perfect timing because full moons are when you want to launch something into the world. It's when you want to give birth to something into the world. So if you have something to launch, present, or release, or to finish up that you've been working on, this is a wonderful time with Venus in forward motion under a well-supported full moon to do that, to launch your project or idea, or to put the finishing touches on whatever major project you've been working on. It gives you a higher likelihood of unexpected benefits with regard to whatever your ultimate outcome is. And it can give those outcomes an innovative or unusual aspect. Because we do have, with this particular full moon, we have Uranus in aspect with the full moon. So what's interesting is that Uranus is the planet of sudden reversals of fortune. So if you felt like you've been struggling or stuck or fighting against something with our practice tonight, you may see a shift where where tides could turn in your favor with this particular full moon, which is kind of a nice aspect to it. But what I want you to be thinking about with the full moon is take active steps to meet commitments, to demonstrate maturity. Be a mentor to someone who needs a mentor right now, or if you need a mentor in your life, take steps to seek out someone who could mentor you, depending on what it is you're needing mentoring with. It's a wonderful time for all of those types of activities. They're well supported with this particular full moon. A couple of things I want you to keep in mind as far as current astrology is that just yesterday we had the sun transit our upcoming January eclipse degree. It was at 5 degrees of Scorpio that the sun made this transit, and it's reflective of the January 21st lunar eclipse in Cancer. The sun will be at 5 degrees of Cancer. So what we've seen here is that for some folks who may be affected by the January 21st lunar eclipse in Cancer, you may be receiving news related to how that eclipse will affect you right around now. I would say within a week or so, especially strong within 4 days or so of yesterday, of the 22nd, of November. Okay, so do keep that in mind. We're just kind of entering the forward edge, the leading edge of the January eclipse season. And some folks are going to be feeling the impact of that. And I just wanted to call that out. Let me see if I wrote down the... Yes, so what I would do is have a look at your sidereal natal chart for a planet or personal point near 5 degrees of Cancer. And especially if you have something within, say 3 degrees either side of 5 degrees of Cancer, you could be feeling that right now. That would be the range that I would look at to see if you have a likelihood of being personally affected. Another thing I want to kind of bring to your attention right now, just to kind of get the juices flowing in your brain, be thinking about next year and what the big picture looks like for you for the coming year. Be thinking about what new undertaking you'd like to begin in January of 2019. And the reason I want you to be thinking about that now is that by the end of the year, we'll have Mercury back to direct motion. He'll be back up to full strength. All the planets in the solar system will be in direct motion again in early January, which is perfect timing to take advantage of the new moon in Sagittarius on January 5th. That's the ideal time to begin things like New Year's resolutions, or in the days just after January 5th. We have Uranus stationing direct the very day after the new moon in January on January 6th. He's going to be the last planet to station direct, and once he does, all the planets in the solar system will be moving ahead in forward motion, which means we'll have the full support of the solar system for activities that are begun just after the new moon in January. That's an important thing to have in place when you're planning an initiation of a major project or something that's big and meaningful to you. So be thinking about that now. You have the rest of November and all of December to really kind of consider what big thing you would like to make an initiation on early in 2019 in order to take advantage of the fact that we're going to have the full support of the solar system in whatever you begin just after that first week of January. So get thinking about that now, do some brainstorming, and maybe start planning ahead about what that might be, and specifically about what actions you might want to be taking in the days after the January new moon. So Bree is with us. She says, so I've got a light in front of my screen, so I can't see all of the comments here. Let's see. Oh, that's a different comment in a different group. So I'm going to let that go. Okay. Let's get back to our notes. So that really kind of covers everything I wanted to touch on in terms of this particular full moon and the current astrological trends that we have going on now. What we're going to do real quick now is dive into what house this full moon is in for everyone by rising signs, or grab your pen and paper. If you know your sidereal rising sign, you'll want to listen for when I call it out. If you have Aries rising, this is a second house full moon for you. So wealth and possessions, movable assets. The second house governs earned income and expenses. And then for Taurus, of course, this is your first house full moon. So this is your birthday full moon, which has to do with personality, it has to do with identity, it has to do with your own self-expression and like your behaviors and mannerisms, basically how you interact with the world around you. The first house also has to do with your appearance and your physical body. And then also the role that you play in the world. So sometimes what you can find is that first house full moon brings a particular role to an end, to a culmination, or you may find yourself stepping fully into a new role which you hadn't completely stepped into, fully embody prior to the full moon. Okay. For Gemini rising, this is a 12th house full moon. So this has to do with privacy and seclusion. It has to do with spirituality and the unconscious mind. The 12th house also governs personal and private projects, solo projects, things that you work on by yourself or things that you work on in private, kind of behind closed doors. So say if you have a studio practice of some sort where you work largely alone and undirected, you're self-guided, that can be 12th house activities. It also governs spiritual practices, things like meditation. Also governs institutions of seclusion, and our needs or urges to escape from the world around us when we need to retreat. So for Gemini, those are the themes that are being affected for you tonight. Cancer, this is an 11th house full moon. So friends, organizations, and hopes and dreams are the themes of 11th house. For Leo rising, this is a 10th house full moon. So that's career and achievement. That's awards and recognition. It's also status and your reputation. So basically, you in the public eye, that's all 10th house stuff. And then for Virgo rising, this is a 9th house full moon. So higher education, long distance travel. 9th house is also long distance communication. So things like publishing and broadcasting, anything that reaches a large audience or that has to travel a long distance to reach its audience falls under 9th house. And then also religion, philosophy, and law are 9th house topics. And then for Libra, this is an 8th house full moon for Libra rising. This has to do with other people's resources that are at your disposal. Monies or things that come to you through a partner. Investment earnings are 8th house. Insurance, taxes, inheritance, those sorts of things. And then also bonus or commission income or money that comes to you through lottery or winnings, like windfall monies, are 8th house. And then the 8th house also has to do with some more kind of esoteric themes. So things like the occult, death, rebirth, and transformation, metamorphosis. Those are also 8th house themes. It rules our psyche. Psychology falls under 8th house. And then for Scorpio, this is 7th house, full moon for you. So marriage, partnership, business, those are 7th house themes. Relationships with other people in general fall under the 7th house. And then also when you're looking specifically at the descendant, that's descriptive of what we reject about ourselves and what we project onto other people or those around us. Okay. For Sagittarius rising, this is a 6th house full moon. So that has to do with work, health, your daily routines, your schedules. Also has to do with employees or pets. So people who work for you. And that can be who work for you in any capacity, whether you own a business or whether you just have someone who, comes over and mows your lawn once a week. It can cover anyone that you pay for services. For Capricorn, this is a 5th house full moon. So that has to do with creativity. It has to do with children. It has to do with romance and love. The 5th house is very much tied up in things that we do for pleasure. So hobbies, sports, those sorts of things. And then risk-taking and gambling are also governed by the 5th house. For Aquarius rising, this is a 4th house full moon. So home, family, real estate, later life, your parents. It can be one parent or it can be both parents when it has to do with the 4th house. And then finally for Pisces, this is a 3rd house full moon for you. And the 3rd house, of course, has to do with travel and communication, but that's travel and communication that happens local to you. So it happens nearby. So usually taking place within your neighborhood or community. I would say definitely within, say 500 miles of where you live. The third house also has to do with your early life. So I would say like your grade school years, your early childhood education. Also has to do with siblings and neighbors, your extended family, things like aunts, uncles, cousins, and your immediate environment is described by the third house as well. And so if anyone is joining late or just catching us after the fact, if you want me to recap for you what house and what themes are being brought up by the full moon in Taurus this evening, just go ahead and let me know in the comments what your sidereal rising sign is, and I will recap for you the house and themes that this full moon is affecting for you. And in the meantime, what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about Taurus, about the archetype of Taurus, and what themes are being addressed when we have a full or a new moon in Taurus. So Taurus is an earth sign. It's fixed earth, which means it's a very steady, stable, solid energy. It's not really changeable. It's the type of thing that once it gets in motion, it tends to stay in motion. And once it finds a path and a trajectory, it's difficult to move it off of that path and off of that trajectory. It's symbolized by the bull, Taurus the bull. Okay, and so for us, this is the archetype of the builder. It's the archetype of the banker. Taurus being ruled by Venus is a very materialistic and sensual sign. And when we say materialistic, we mean that it is concerned with material things, material goods and objects, tangible, touchable goods and objects. And when we say that it's a sensual sign being ruled by Venus, what we mean is of the senses, things that you can see and taste and touch and hear and feel. Okay, so it's very much about what you can sense and appreciate, right? And because of that, we are going to be exploring themes that have to do with that kind of more indulgent side of life, right? Venus rules money, Venus rules business, and so because of that, Taurus also takes on the archetype of the banker. But the flip side of that, the sensual side of that, is Taurus, the archetype of the hedonist, right? The nature lover. It can also be the musician, Venus ruling harmony, right? Things that are pleasing to us. So in this sense, where we find Taurus in our natal chart can tend to be where we are rather indulgent. But it can also be where we tend to be lazy, where we find Taurus, or even potentially where we find Venus, right? But Taurus, the energy of Taurus can also be stubborn. And because of that, it can also be argumentative and resistant to change. But on the positive side of things, Taurus is also patient. It's a very patient energy. Loyal and enduring are good words to describe the Taurus archetype. Tranquil is another good word to describe fixed earth, right? And Taurus can also be affectionate. It's also the sign of abundance and plenitude, okay? And as part of the Taurus-Scorpio 2nd and 8th house axis, it speaks to our personal values and our sense of self-worth, okay? And so it's part of what we're going to be exploring tonight. Has to do with values, has to do with our own sense of self-worth, okay? But Taurus is a security-seeking, comfort-seeking type of energy, right? But keep in mind that too much security-seeking can lead to stagnation, right? Discomfort is what leads to growth. Isn't that what they say? That comfort zones are often expanded by discomfort. And Taurus Venus is very much about comfort. It's comfort seeking. It doesn't like the discomfort too much. And so that's one thing that you have to be aware of, you have to be cognizant of, especially where you have Venus in your chart or where you find Taurus in your natal chart. You need to be aware of getting too comfortable, because that can lead you to stagnation. It can lead you to quit growing in that area of your life. So beware of boredom, right? Because Taurus is, like we were talking about earlier, sensual. It's a sign that describes where it is we need to have our senses stimulated. But one thing that's important to remember is that seeking stimulation out of boredom is not always healthy, right? So be aware of where you might have a tendency to do that, okay? And so what I want you to do is grab your pen and paper, and keeping in mind the area of life that is represented by the house Taurus occupies in your sidereal natal chart, I want you to consider the following prompts and questions that we'll be exploring in terms of thinking about what it is you want to release or let go of or move past with this particular full moon. So prompt number 1, what is keeping you from stepping out of your comfort zone? That can be a big one for some of us, right? Is there something that's keeping you from stepping out of your comfort zone? Is it because you're resistant to a potential discomfort that could come up? Is it because you're too comfortable where you're at and you're not challenging yourself? Is it a fear? What is it that's keeping you from stepping out of your comfort zone? And is that holding you back or keeping you stuck in some way? Okay. So consider, is that area of your life feeling stagnant? Is it starting to atrophy? Do you feel like you're not growing the way you want to grow in that area of your life? And consider, why is that? Is there something that you're holding on to, or is there something that you're resisting moving into? And I'm going to cough here just a moment, excuse me. Drink. Throat coat tea, if you have to talk a lot, especially for work, that throat coat tea is amazing. I'm just going to say that right now. Oh, wait a minute. I think I'm skipping a prompt. Is that particular area of your life feeling stagnant or atrophied? Why is that? And what may you be holding on to? So let's recap that one. Or is laziness becoming a problem for you in that part of your life? Are you resisting something that is causing you to feel or to be lazy about something? Whether that's a project or your own growth or a change that you need to implement. And where is your own stubbornness causing you difficulty in life? What is the underlying source or cause of this stubbornness, and what attachment can you release to move out of that immobility? And I'll recap these real quick. When you're finished, what we'll do is we'll spend a few minutes writing out what it is. After we've identified kind of where it is we feel stuck or what we might be hung up on, we'll spend a few minutes writing out what it is we would like to release with this full moon, okay? And then we'll come back and do our actual releasing practice afterward. But let me recap the prompts for you just real quick. So what is keeping you from stepping out of your comfort zone? What can you let go of that's keeping you from doing that? Is it holding you back or keeping you stuck in some way? Is this area of your life feeling stagnant or atrophied, and why? What is it you're holding on to? Is laziness becoming a problem for you in a particular area of life? And what is it that you're resisting that's causing you to feel or be lazy? And then finally, where is your own stubbornness causing you difficulty in life? And what is the underlying source or cause of that stubbornness? Is it a behavior of yours? Is it something that you learned in childhood? Is it just a bad habit? What attachment is it that you might be able to release that would help you move out of that immobility that you're stuck in through because of stubbornness. Okay, so let's spend a few minutes writing out what it is we're letting go of, and then we'll come back and finish up. It'd be really cool when you're done writing is if you want to share what it is you're letting go of, what it is you're releasing with the full moon. That'd be awesome. I'll share what I'm releasing. This is kind of timely, I think. I've been really rethinking what I offer through my business lately in the last couple of weeks. I've had a lot of interesting new ideas come to me, ways that I could change things up or offer something different or new or better to those of you who come to the website to read the blog posts on the horoscopes, and to those of you who come for personal readings, whether that's, the career and life path reading or the natal chart readings or the business readings. I've been really kind of considering what changes, whether there are changes needed, ways that I can serve folks better. And I'm kicking around the idea of just like really stirring up the pot between now and say January, and just really kind of revamping everything and coming up with something entirely new. A new way to serve y'all better, if that's possible, okay? And so that's kind of where I'm taking this, knowing that I've kind of had this percolating in the back of my brain. For me, with Gemini rising, Taurus is a 12th house full moon. And 12th house can really speak to unconscious fears. And so I want to focus on releasing any kind of hesitation or anything that might be holding me back from taking these ideas to their fullest extent, to their fullest potential. And so what I wrote here is that I release any fear, concern, or worry over making changes to my offerings, including changing up the monthly horoscopes, readings, or subscriptions. And that I release this fear, worry, and concern so that I may find the best ways to serve the greatest number of people for the highest good of all involved. And that's really because I want to step into the creative brainstorming process of what can this look like, without any of that in the back of my mind, without anything kind of hanging over that creative process. I really would just kind of want to unleash it and see what comes out. And maybe start fresh in the new year with a whole new way of serving you, or at least with some better variety mixed in how I can serve you. And so that's kind of what's come up for me tonight, is that I want to make sure that I release all of that so that it doesn't factor into what this could look like going forward, if that makes sense. I don't know. I hope it does. Anyway, if you'd like to share in the comments what it is you're releasing, feel free. And in the meantime, we'll step on to the final steps here. So Rosalind says, oh, hi, Rosalind. I even see no comments. Excuse me, I'm bumping the microphone. No comments popped up on my phone when you commented. It's not fair. Rosalind says, my approaching a disability court hearing is causing me to feel unable to step out of my comfort zone because I am working currently and making too much to be approved, and it sucks for many reasons. One being, I have been craving stability in my life for so long. I'm somewhat having thoughts that hopefully I can get fired or injured from the hearing so I can receive the back pay and move into a place that will give me more of a sense of peace and security and not feeling so unstable all the time. The job I'm currently working is very hard on my conditions, plus management is horrible and my health is deteriorating. Yet I'm slacking about finding a new job because I just feel stuck, to be honest. I've been thinking about how stuck I feel all this week because I'm just tired of fighting. And also because of my age and not being fully taken seriously. I totally get that right there. I'm an Aries midheaven. I think that has a lot to do with me growing up young, but being treated far younger and mature than I really am. My underlying issue stems from a few years ago when I initially applied under stress as an 18-year-old, mainly due to a controlling relationship I was in, and I was also transitioning from my abusive background, ran from home and not knowing where I really belonged in the world. So now I'm just not sure what to let go of or hold on to. And this full moon is in my 10th house, conjunct Juno and opposite Pluto in the 4th. So this full moon can potentially be quite transformative for you, Rosalind, with that Pluto influence. You could see some sort of change or shift or transformation. Although it may be an inner transformation, you may find that something as simple as a change in how you feel about or how you think about the situation is enough to change it, to shift things in some way so that you're not feeling stuck any longer. But with Pluto involved, really transformation in that sense is about our own destruction and our ability to recover from the worst and come back stronger, come back new and improved and better than we were before. And so in that sense, this full moon could be full of positive change for you. Plutonian change is sometimes painful because it does often involve destruction, right? What we consider death, right? But on the other side of it, once you come through that transformation and you come through that rebirth process, you're often able to look back and see the blessing that that change brought you. The crucible is a great way to describe moving through Pluto, right? But I can totally understand that feeling that you're going through, especially about not being taken seriously because of your age. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that with Pluto involved, Pluto has to do with health, right? And with regeneration. So you may also find with this full moon an opportunity to harness your own inner regenerative power, so that you can reclaim your own personal health. Sometimes that's physical health, sometimes that's mental health, sometimes that's emotional health. But there's a seed of healing potential in this full moon for you if you can unlock it. Okay? Rosalind also says, and I'm supposed to be releasing something, to be honest, but with moon opposite my Pluto, I'm just not sure. So, you know where I would take this then? I would go ahead and just release the uncertainty, right? Because you said you're feeling uncertain. Or just release the need to feel like, you know what I'm talking about? That feeling of needing to do something. You could just release that, right? Because you don't really need to do anything. The best thing that you can do is just be and spend time maybe in introspection and contemplation, and finding your own inner knowing. Because when you can find your own inner knowing, that uncertainty, that external uncertainty about life kind of falls away. Okay? You can release the supposed to. It's okay to release supposed to, if that makes sense. That's a big thing to bite off tonight, Rosalind. You're always so brave on these broadcasts, I have to say. You're always so brave. You always want to tackle it head on, and I admire that. Absolutely. I admire that in you. So here's what we do at the end of our releasing practice. When you're finished, you want to take your paper to a fire-safe place and burn it, or tear it up into tiny, tiny little pieces. So this last part is really kind of a symbolic step that reinforces our intention. It's a physical action that reinforces our intention. It has a metaphysical, a non-physical effect. And so when you're finished, what you're going to do is you're going to take your paper and you're going to state aloud your intention to release these thoughts, behaviors, or beliefs that you're letting go of tonight that aren't serving you any longer. And so I'll make my statement that I release any fear, concern, or worry over making changes to my offerings as an astrologer, which won't serve me and it won't serve you. So I'm going to release those fears, concerns, and worries with my gratitude for any lessons they brought with them, because I definitely learned something. Fear is always a teaching tool, right? I release it with my gratitude. I release it with love. And so you want to, if you burn your paper, I encourage you make sure it burns completely. And then just like, you know, dump it in your flower bed or your garden or your compost or something like that. Return it to the earth. It's good for the soil, right? And then if you're tearing it up, just tear it up in tiny little pieces. Let it go. Let it go. That feels good, doesn't it? It's all gone. It always feels so good when it's gone. See, there you can see it's just finishing it. Let it go. So yeah, I've been thinking a lot about mixing things up a little. Getting a little excitement back into the astrology part. We'll see what happens. We'll see what comes out of it. I have a couple of announcements. So if you haven't read up your full horoscopes by sign for November, do so. There's still about a week left that's going to apply. So if you want to like scroll ahead to the very last of the month and brush up, you can. The December overview and short reports are landing very soon. I have them all written and ready to go. However, they're not published on the website yet. So I'll get those published very soon and I will let you know as soon as they're available. If you haven't subscribed yet to the new YouTube channel, please do so. And I will give you a link to that one. We had to change and start a new YouTube channel a couple of months ago. So if you already subscribed, I think we made the change in September. So if you subscribed before then, you want to subscribe to the new channel because I'll be merging them. And then what happens is the old channel is going to disappear and go away completely. Okay? So here is the link for the new YouTube channel. And that way, if you're subscribed, you're not ever going to miss one of the broadcasts. So even if for some reason I don't get it posted on the website or you miss it here in the group, I will upload it to the YouTube channel after the fact, after we do our live broadcast, and then you'll get notified. And that way you always know where you can go to watch the most current, new, or full moon practice. What else do I have for announcements? Oh, I was going to tell you, but now you know, because I did my releasing around this. I'm switching things up for the new year. So there's more to come on that. Stay tuned for announcements. I don't know exactly what things are going to look like, but I'm going to be switching things up and mixing things around for the new year. So stay tuned for that, and I'll let you know more when I know more, right? And then also, academic version of the Ultimate Astrological Planner is available, but we're getting close enough to the end of the new year or the end of this year that you might just want the regular calendar year planner. I'm going to be doing a little offer for Cyber Monday on the Ultimate Astrological Planner. If you don't have one and you want to order one, this might be a good time. So I've created some add-on options for the Ultimate Astrological Planner this year. One of them is that when you order, you can select the Add My Natal Chart upgrade and include your birth data when you order at checkout. And then what I will do is I will create your natal chart and I'll include it in your bound planner for the coming year. And that way you have your natal chart right there. You can just flip to it quickly to look and see if any of the transits that are noted throughout the year might be affecting you personally. You can look to see if you have, planets or personal points at a given place as you're looking at the transits. Okay, you'll have it handy for easy reference. And so one thing I'm offering for Cyber Monday is for the first, I think I set it to 20 people. For the first 20 people purchasing the Ultimate Astrological Day Planner, the big one, because it's hard to add this page to the monthly planner. But if you're buying the day planner, you can get the Add My Natal Chart upgrade for free on Monday. First 20 people to check out. And what you'll want to do is use the code FREECHART. And let me type that into the comments. Maybe. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I didn't post the YouTube channel. Hold on. So, free chart is a coupon code. It's good for the Add My Natal Chart Day Planner upgrade. I can't spell upgrade. Upgrade. And that is for the first 20 people only. Okay, so that's the coupon code. And I'll have that posted at my website on Cyber Monday so that if you want to take advantage of it, you can. That way you don't need to come dig up this broadcast just to find the code. I'll post it. Anyway, I wanted to let y'all know that because I thought it was kind of a cool thing and it was a fun thing to offer for Cyber Monday, that you can get a free natal chart upgrade if you're ordering your planner. And I don't know what the rest of Cyber Monday looks like. I guess we'll find out when Cyber Monday arrives. But there you go. You can get a free natal chart upgrade. And what are my other announcements? I think that's it. Other than enjoy. Enjoy. I hope those of you who celebrated a holiday yesterday had a wonderful holiday. Thank you all for your patience while I was away due to the holiday, and we bumped the broadcast to tonight. And thank you for joining me. It was good to have you all on. I know Angie was here, and Deanna and Kellyanne. I do appreciate everyone joining. Rosalind, thank you so much for sharing what you're letting go of tonight. And thank you for joining me, Marianne and Dylan. And we'll talk to you again next time. Let's see, I'll be doing a Sidereal Insights Astro Update broadcast on the 3rd of December on the Mystick Physick Astrology Facebook page. We'll talk about current transits, what you need to know in order to roll with any particular astrological punches coming our way on Monday, December 3rd. And then we'll also have our new moon intention setting for December. Let's see what day this is going to be. So the new moon, we do it the day before. The December new moon is landing on the 7th. So we're going to be going live for that on the 6th of December at 7:30, same time as tonight's broadcast. So stay tuned for that as well. So that first week of December, we've got 2 broadcasts coming up. We'll talk to you then, if not sooner. And thank you so much for joining me.